Good morning, everybody. So, I hope everybody is having a pretty decent day. It's a little dark and gloomy over here in North Carolina, but then again, I'm learning that that's just the South. Like once you pass Virginia, weather is kind of bipolar. But I digress. So thank you everybody that has joined recently. I am very happy and I hope this can keep growing and helping other people. That is my passion. I'm an empath, I'm a healer, so I'm always trying to fix something. And I just find human beings and the human being psyche like something extraordinary because there's no other way to put it. So today's topic is going to be ADHD or ADD or attention deficit disorder or attention deficit disorder with hyperactivity. Now, this one I can speak to from both sides of the spectrum. As a clinical provider that has worked with a client that has ADHD or ADD, and also from personal experience because I do have a modality of attention deficit disorder with hyperactivity. So first, what is ADHD? So ADHD is a neurodevelopmental disorder. It affects one's ability to concentrate and focus on different tasks, and maintaining that concentration. It also deals with impulsivity, your ability to control your impulses. It has to do with irritability. A lot of the times, people that have attention deficit disorder kind of have a little bit of a short fuse just because things get a little overwhelming for us fairly quickly. And I know a lot of people feel that attention deficit disorder is kind of a diagnosis that is it is a behavioral diagnosis. Like it affects behavior mostly, but there is chemical imbalances and issues in the brain that cause that. It's not that a child is trying to, or an adult, but obviously in the younger population, it's not that the child is trying to be purposely difficult, or it is not something that gets fixed because you're going to give somebody a timeout or things like that. Attention deficit disorder can actually be incredibly debilitating because a lot of us that have attention deficit, imagine your brain being twine. So when you have twine and you unravel it, if you unravel it properly, it's going to be nice and straight, right? And you're not going to have any problems. So if you unravel it carelessly, it becomes this kind of series of knots and turns and all of that. So that is how the attention deficit disorder brain functions. It functions within chaos, and the person that suffers this disorder kind of has to make sense of that chaos, and that can be incredibly overwhelming because we are already overstimulated. People that have attention deficit disorder is because of that. The brain does not know or has a hard time identifying which things I need to keep my attention on and how do I shut down the rest of all of the input that I'm getting. In Eastern medicine, they call it monkey brain. And I had a therapist because trust me, I've tried many different avenues to help me with the attention deficit disorder. And I actually found I had tried hypnosis with other providers, and sadly, all of them were telling me, "Listen, you are not a candidate for hypnosis. You're one of those people that is not gonna go under." until I found a monk who is a clinical psychologist, and he's also a doctor in Eastern medicine with a specialization in psychiatry. And I remember the first time I went, our first session was amazing, but I was explaining to him how exhausting my attention deficit can be because, I have to keep myself extremely organized. And I always tell people that my alarms have alarms because I need all of those cues and reminders to get through my day and obviously, be able to function at the level that I need to function. So that's one of the tricks that work for me. It's like creating reminders, creating to-do lists, creating alarms and timers. So that helps me stay organized. Other people use different approaches. But I just want to kind of like get the point that this is not something that we're making up. This is a very real disorder. And many of us I'm sure a lot of people can relate. Like sometimes we are frantic looking for the car keys, for example, because we did not follow our usual routine that day, and now you cannot remember where your car keys are, or you're leaving your keys locked in the vehicle, or you continue to lose objects frequently, or you go to the kitchen, you start a task, and then something catches your eye in the fridge and you jump from the task that you were doing without following through and start a new task. So all of that feedback loop can be extremely exhausting and debilitating for a person. If you have the modality that has the hyperactivity attached to it, is even worse because your body, your physical body, cannot sort of stay at rest and regulate itself. So that's where you see the constant fidgeting, the pressure speech, like I have, where the person speaks extremely fast and it's difficult to keep our dictation and tone. It's difficult for us to sit still in a chair, and we all kind of find our little coping mechanisms to deal with that. So two mechanisms that I found that are fairly useful are cognitive behavioral therapy and DBT, which is dialectal behavioral therapy. And they're different modalities in different ways, but they all kind of like move back to practicing mindfulness and grounding yourself and staying present in the moment. Now, understand, people with attention deficit and hyperactivity do have the ability to focus on a task, especially if it's something that interests them and that they're passionate about. They could just be there for hours. And obviously that throws people off because it's like, well, I just saw you and watching 3 movies in a row and you were fine. I didn't see you fidgeting. I didn't see you moving around. You didn't leave and came back to watch the movie and that type of thing. So it can get confusing. But people with attention deficit can and have the ability to concentrate not only on one thing at the same time, but we can also be multitaskers because, again, we are so used to receiving so much external input that it's fairly easy for us to pivot when we need to pivot and think from a different perspective, which again comes as a positive if you are practicing, if you're doing therapy and things like that. It comes as a positive because a lot of the times you will be the person that has the creative idea, the let's think outside the box type of approach. But in terms of trying to regulate yourself and organize yourself, I would definitely recommend cognitive behavioral therapy or dialectical behavioral therapy. If you want to practice mindfulness, understand that your monkey brain will most likely not allow you to go through guided meditation or ASMR videos, and that type of meditation might not be a good fit. So the other avenues, and I use that, you need to practice moving meditation. And that can be anywhere from yoga to Pilates to Tai Chi to Qigong. Any of those will help you ground yourself and kind of like rein that monkey brain in and maintain you present in the moment, and not have your brain jumping from one thing to another and kind of like going off track every time you see a squirrel. So anyway, that's what I have for you today. I hope this is helpful in some way. As I always say, stay safe, stay healthy, help each other, people, and I'll be talking to you guys soon. Bye-bye.